I think I was there on the last night of the shooting just to see the morale, and everyone was so happy about it, which is quite, I think it's testament to David as a director who carries it through, and also the crew that worked together.
The last day of shooting was one of the most anticlimactic moments in my life. We were filming up in the country town for the final scenes with Margot, and these birds start chirping, and it's about an hour before the sun was supposed to come up.
Can I have it on there?
Okay.
Bianca? Does this need to have anything?
We still had quite a lot of footage that we needed to get, and it was really Vicky's moment. She just snapped into gear and got everyone working really fast, and we shot an extraordinary amount in the space of about 40 minutes.
Quick guys, we don't have a lot of time. Here we go. Clap us up.
Speed.
Yep.
Okay, quiet on set.
16 through 64, take one. On 6.
And action.
Is she dead?
Get me a towel.
Yeah.
We still kept filming when the sun came up, and it's a real credit to the lighting crew, because when you watch those scenes you can't tell that the sun has come completely up. It hit a point where we just had to stop filming, and it was such a disappointing moment because for 18 days the crew had worked so hard and had done some really long 15-hour days and had accumulated an amazing amount of footage across that time, but I felt like we'd fallen short by a few shots despite all of that hard work.
But yeah, both shots were in the same direction.
There.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what it's in.
Yeah, it's going to be very jarring.
My concern was that it was only 5 minutes into the film, and if you have a clunky scene early in your film, then that tells the audience that it's not a very good piece of filmmaking, and an early clunky scene would undo what I knew was going to be a lot of great scenes after that.
What we needed was chickens and that.
I'm gonna call a wrap.
Yeah, you do that. We'll keep
That's a
talking.
wrap, guys.
Yeah, we're gonna stop.
Then there's this tension of, will we be able to get back into location? Will we be able to get the key cast and crew back to make this happen? So I walked off set really happy with all the work that everyone had done, but I just couldn't celebrate because I didn't have the film at that stage. Yeah, so definitely want to cut away from this delivery. So I wonder if we cut back to... I give the editor a first full cut without any notes from me. And that's really just about seeing what the editor comes up with, what their interpretation is, and hopefully cutting some scenes in a way that I hadn't conceived. And that's really dominated. So especially the first scene around where she's being interrogated. Considering that the screenplay was only 82 pages, it was surprising that the assembly edit came in at probably about 2 hours and 10 minutes. Your first cut is always going to be the longest cut, but it became clear that the edit wasn't going to be just about perfecting scenes, it was also going to be about really tightening that story up. We were going to have to cut a good 30-35 minutes out of the edit. That was achieved through tightening up existing scenes, but we also cut about 7 or 8 scenes that were shot. Particularly in the first half of the story, there was just some repetition of Nat's physical and mental state degrading across the film. Looking at certain scenes, some were just stronger versions of that. From a story and a visual point of view, it was really important that we see her nails dying across the film one by one. But some of the other body horror wasn't as necessary. There's a scene just after she has her shower when she gets home from the hospital, and she's toweling her hair down and her hair is starting to fall out. Another scene we cut, which I really liked, it was a oneer. This is when Rose comes bursting in on Nat, who is still exhausted.
What?
Can I interview you now?
What?
For my assignment.
Not now.
But I have to finish it.
I said not now.
The scene works perfectly. I actually loved it on the day. I love the camera position. I like the performance. Looking at the totality of what happens in the story and to Nat, seeing that she's sort of tired and struggling to recover and, you know, short-tempered with Rose, just didn't seem as important or needed.
She's insisting there's a girl in her room. Well, I've never known her to lie.
So she's actually saying something.
She's been through a traumatic experience.
This scene was in the film, then it was out, then it was back in, and then it finally went out. It's so beautifully acted. I love the way it was shot, and it's a moment where Nat is contemplating and grappling with this idea that perhaps Rose has some sort of serious mental illness going on.
Have you thought of taking her to someone?
Yes. Actually.
I just thought that having 4 scenes back to back of 2 actors in a dialogue exchange would just slow the pace of the film down, but also might just be stepping a bit too far away from the horror genre. At this point, it was really about let's ramp up the horror thriller aspect of the story.
How am I supposed to handle this?
Sorry. I'm sorry, Mum.
As the saying goes, if you want to make a great feature film, you have to cut your favourite scene out. And it certainly was one of my favourite scenes. To me, there's a key moment missing, and I don't know how we get around it, which is Nat, pushing in on that.
It had to be almost from behind Nat, walking towards, and then when she turns around, it's like, what the fuck, you know? Because
that moment's just missing. At a point in the edit, what became really apparent was a few scenes weren't going to work. And primarily it was the opening with Margot.
Whoa! Hey, you okay? You okay?
We got a small crew about 4 or 5 months after the shoot, and we went back up to the country town, and we just had to get 4 shots done for the night, and we could only get some of the cast because other people committed on other projects. So it was actually Beth and I standing in on those scenes.
Hey, you okay?
We also realised there wasn't a good shot of the bruises on Rose's arm, so we had to do that shot as well, and that was actually just done in the petrol station. And then, you know, just a couple of us went around to some hospital locations, filmed the exteriors so we could insert them across the film to really sell the idea that even though most of the hospital scenes were in the same building, they feel like they're at very different locations. When Kestie was about to commit suicide, I'd just rolled the camera and said, you know, whenever you're ready, Kestie, go for it. You know, there's no rush. We're just going to keep rolling. You get into character and go into the scene when you need to. And Johnny was watching that footage back, and there's a great little moment where it's actually Kestie just getting into whatever mental state she needs to and whatever she's drawing upon. And it was captured on camera, and it was a really raw, you know, beautiful moment. And Johnny said, you know, how about we just include this in the scene? Which I thought was a great idea, but given the circumstances of how that had been captured, I called Kestie up and told her about it, and she said, you know, is it working? And I said, yeah, it actually works really well. I think it's a great moment in the scene. And she said, yeah, if that's the case, keep it in there.
That's how you do it. You're a parasite.